Quite a story, yes? Any questions for Edward? Yeah. Get way over. Stand right up.
What's been the best part of your new life here in town?
The friends I've made.
Any other questions? Yeah. Stand right up.
Do you have a girlfriend?
Sure he does, right, Kim?
Right, Kim? Great night.
Knock it off, Bubba Butt.
You did it.
So?
How about it, Edward? Is there some special lady in your life? Ooh.
Were you scared? I tried to make Jim go back, but you can't make Jim do anything. Thank you for not telling them that we...
You're welcome.
It must have been awful when they told you whose house it was.
I knew it was Jim's house.
You did?
Yes.
Well, then why'd you do it?
Because you asked me to.
Give up! Jimmy! Hey!
Don't. What's the matter with you? When are you gonna stop? I did what I could.
You could tell the truth.
So could you. You were there too.
It wasn't my do. You know I didn't want to do it.
But you did do it. I don't get why you give such a shit anyway.
Now you've done it.
It's just a scratch, Jim. Really, it's okay.
Stay back,
No
okay? You touch her again and I'll kill you.
No, it's no big deal. It's just...
Call a doctor. You skewered Kim.
No, this is...
Stay away from her, okay? I mean it. You can't touch anything without destroying it. Who the hell do you think you are? You've been hanging around here anyway, huh?
I want you to sit right down and wait for me to bring you some ice. Stay right there and right back.
On Christmas Day in the morning.
Get the hell out of here! Get the hell out! Go! Free!
Hey, Edward, where are you going?
Damn, killer. It's so good.
Sebastian Rogers vanished in the early hours of February 26, 2024, a date that now hangs like smoke in the hollows of Tennessee. At first, his disappearance ignited urgency, but that urgency quickly sank into the quicksand of internet chaos and interpersonal drama. Speculation spread like fog, but few brought hard evidence. That is, until Nerdy Addict went boots on the ground. What he unearthed restructured the case's architecture. Nerdy sat with Chris in the rain, and Chris spoke about some very interesting things. A year after Sebastian's disappearance, a sealed search warrant was executed at the Proudfoot residence, Electronics and 3 newly installed surveillance cameras were seized, devices that didn't even exist at the time of Sebastian's vanishing. One of them was installed in the bedroom of Chris Proudfoot's 8-year-old daughter. The warrant's existence alone screams probable cause. The fact that its contents are sealed, that whispers something deeper, something protected. Chris recounted an incident from February 2nd, mere weeks before Sebastian disappeared. Chris was called into Beach High School due to what was vaguely described as a behavioural issue involving Sebastian and a teacher. Though Nerdy withheld the specifics, citing Chris's off-the-record request, it was hinted that Sebastian had acted inappropriately, beyond what might be typical for a child on the spectrum.
Sebastian had a behavioral health issue with a teacher, acted in a way that wasn't appropriate with the teacher.
He kind of has issues with personal space. He hasn't mastered up in your face kind of kid. Probably something dealing with school, because that's majority where his issues lie. Some behavioral stuff, but nothing too crazy. He has a hard time. He's like awkwardly socially like blending in with students, so it's a little. He's trying to figure out how to do it, but respecting people's space. He gets a little too close, and then kids don't really accept that too much, so it kind of causes an issue. But he'll not stop, and he continues on. So then it causes an issue, and instead of being honest about it, he'll lie like, "No, I didn't." Okay, Sebastian.
But it wasn't just the behavioural detail that mattered. It was what Chris saw while waiting in the office. Sebastian entered the hallway, not with his assigned adult escort, but with an older girl, unauthorised, smiling and making him visibly giddy. That same girl was dating one of Bobby's teenage sons, the neighbour just down the way. Chris had never seen Sebastian like that, and it took him back for a moment. When Sebastian saw Chris in the office, his entire demeanour shifted. The light in his eyes left. It was a moment, seemingly small, but in hindsight, loaded.
We went to Stafford. Now, my son's Jeep is loud. And so I didn't even think about it. I was more focused on who this person was. So he drives up Stafford, and he says to me, "Hey, while we're up here, where's Sebastian's house?" And I'm like, "Oh, we just passed it." So he turns around and goes back down, and we're going slowly because I was trying to point out Sebastian's house. And so I pointed it out, and he's like, "Oh, okay." And so we drive back around, and we're driving back down to the other side of the neighborhood, another cul-de-sac, and he said, "Wait a minute. Didn't you say that this other neighbor has a Ring camera?" And I said, "Yes." And she's the one that saw the silhouette in the window and the lights in the house go on and off and whatever. She's like, "But that doesn't make any sense, because if that house is located here, how can she have seen over here?" And I'm like, "Okay, go back up the street and I'll show you." So we went back up the street to show him where that house was versus this and all the whole thing. And as we were coming back up, we kind of stopped. Now, this is my neighborhood. I'm not a suspicious person. This is my neighborhood. I should be able to do whatever I want to, right? So I stop, or he stops a little bit. I'm pointing that houses out, and we drive out, and I said, "Sean," I said, "honey, we got to go home." And he's like, "Why?" And I said, "Because somebody's standing at their front door." He was like, "Oh, crap." And so, and I did not, God honest truth, I never meant to upset anybody. It was truly just me trying to figure out what's going on. Never meant to upset anybody. Turn around, Stafford, I'm coming back down, and Chris is, now mind you, I have never met this man. Never seen him before. I wouldn't even know who he is. Matter of fact, I thought he was law enforcement. Stands in the middle of the street and puts his hand out and stops, just like this. And I was like, oh my gosh, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap. And I'm thinking it's law enforcement. I'm like, oh crap, we're about to get in trouble because they're going to think that we're looking for this kid or something. So right on the window, and he comes around and he stands there just like this. Just, "What are you doing out here?" And I'm like, holy crap. I said, I'm so sorry. We were looking for, and I told him what happened and told him the whole story. And he was like, "Why wouldn't you just call law enforcement?" I said, "Because I don't want to call law enforcement on a neighbor if they're out walking around. That's kind of rude." And he's like, "Well, you have no business driving around here," and started telling me in a very intimidating, very strong voice, I guess you would say, big tough, he's a big guy, kind of thing. That my son is missing, and they've got police all around here looking." I said, "Yeah, no kidding. I know, I'm aware. I've been talking to him. Trust me, I know, I get it." So I was like, I'm so sorry. I kept apologizing to him, and he got really upset and, kind of said some things, and I was trying to calm him down, and I apologized. And my son's girlfriend was in the back, and she thought that if she rolled the window down and said, "I am such and such, and I go to your son's school," that he would calm down. Even though I said, "Hey, I'm your neighbor. I live up there. Everything's fine. I'm sorry I didn't mean to bother you." I thought even me telling him I was his neighbor would calm him down. It's like he just glossed right over that. He didn't care. So she says, I'm such and such, and I go to school with your son. And he stops mid-sentence to me and said, oh, and got like stopped, looked at her and said, your name? And she said, yes, sir. Like, how do you know? She only gave him her first name. And he said the whole thing. And she was like, how do you know my name? And I was like, what the crap? I looked at my son. I said, we need to go. We just need to go. We just need to go. And I'm like, I'm going to call the police because this is getting, I don't know. I don't understand. I wish you could have, I can't describe his body language was just very
It wasn't like, well, for that people were out there looking for his son or thinking it was more like trying to stop.
Get off my street. Get off my street.
We all remember Bobby from the now infamous JLR interview. You remember how close her property sits to the Proudfoot home. You also remember what was caught on neighborhood surveillance, flashlight beams weaving through yards the night Sebastian vanished. One of those flashlights, possibly Sebastian's. The flashlight is the only thing missing from Sebastian's room, leading everyone to believe he had it with him. Chris also confirmed to Nerdy that Sebastian did in fact play flashlight tag with Bobby's teen boys, the same teens we've been speaking about. Not just one, but multiple surveillance videos of flashlights running through yards in the night. That data alone should detonate inside your skull right now.
Our Nick Barris obtained video that appears to show two people near Sebastian's home the night his parents say he disappeared.
The video you're about to see is from early Monday morning, February 26th, around 3:10 a.m. Now, there are no street lights in the Stafford Court neighborhood, so it is at night, pitch black. What you will see here are these 2 points of light believed to be people with flashlights in the area around Sebastian Rogers' Hendersonville home. It is believed Sebastian left his home barefoot and with a flashlight sometime overnight. Since his disappearance, authorities have reviewed security video from homes in the neighborhood looking for clues.
We have had several clips that have come in.
And this one is getting the most attention, showing signs of activity around Sebastian's home the night he disappeared. You see 2 light sources, which we've circled to help you follow. For point of reference, the security camera was pointed toward the back of Sebastian's home in a common area. In the video, you see subject 1 with a light source in the lower right-hand corner. Then you see subject 2 briefly appear and move toward the first before that light source is covered or obscured by bushes. Subject 1, a few seconds later, then moves out of frame. Then subject 2 reappears and follows subject 1 off screen. It's a short time later and it's very vague, but then you see one of the subjects moving quickly back through the common area, and that is it. I know, there's not much to see here. You certainly cannot identify anyone, but those close to the investigation tell me the mere fact that there is now evidence that someone is in the area around Sebastian's home is significant. This video shows suspicious activity in the immediate area the night Sebastian disappeared. Could one of these subjects have been Sebastian? Did he meet and leave with someone? Sebastian's father says his son would not go with a stranger.
It's up in the air for me because I don't think he would get into a vehicle with somebody unless he knew them.
Unless he knew them. He knew them.
So what exactly are we seeing here? I know investigators are doing what they can to try enhancing the video for any more clues. For now, this video is now part of the Sebastian Rogers missing person file, and I'm told it could become more significant depending on where the ongoing investigation leads. We'll be following that. Nick Barris, News Channel 5.
Of course, the search for Sebastian continues, with detectives now looking into any possibility of foul play. Foul play.
So going back to the whole light thing, I was told that there was an unidentified car sitting on my street facing the entrance somewhere around 3:30 or so, and then the flashlights were actually seen on the neighbor's camera. 2 separate flashlights walking in between the yards. There was the car with the lights coming towards the car. The car backed up on Kellen and left. And then about 2-ish hours, hour and a half, hour and 42 something, like she said, the time stamp on the video is not working. It is stuck. She said, but you can tell because it's pitch black dark in the middle of the night when the car comes down the street, turns onto Stafford, sits there for about 3 to 5 minutes. The flashlights are coming from 2 different directions in between the yards. They do whatever they're doing around the car. The car backs up Kellen and leaves from Stafford. I'm sorry, backs up Kellen and leaves.
What's your theory? What do you think? What do you think happened?
When my kids were younger, they would go outside and play like flashlight tag and stuff like that, and I'd have to get on to them like, okay, 10 o'clock, y'all need to be done because everybody's got to go to bed and whatever. Nobody ever gets, like, you don't ever just see random kids walking around by themselves. I don't buy that at all, and I know that neighbors that are right around them said that there was nothing on their cameras.
Nothing. So no evidence whatsoever for that morning, 26, and not even the 25th, the night of the 25th. Wow. Do you think law enforcement...
He just vanished. He literally just vanished.
And then came the dogs. They traced Sebastian's scent, first to Bobby's home, then to the drainage pond. Cadaver dogs took it from there, leading to a nearby creek that ran into Old Hickory Dam.
The very first day, the dogs. You saw dogs out there. You saw,
oh, yes, absolutely.
Did you see them going a specific direction or area? Did you see them centered around a certain area, or did they pick up any scent?
Okay, so there was no scent that was picked up from their house to anywhere. However, and my kids were with the handler and the canine and actually watched. He followed them all through the construction zone. And one of my kids actually saw one of the dogs take the handler to one of the retention ponds. And not only did he go to the retention pond, he ran to it and jumped in it. And the handler had to go and get him and take him out of the water and then dry him off. And my son looked over at the handler and said, oh my gosh, I've never seen anything like that before. He looked at me and said, he's never done that before. And my son said, why did he just jump in that? He said he was following a scent. And then the other...
On that? Did they go in the water? Did they take scuba divers or anything in there?
Supposedly, when I told Seth that, when I met him at the most recent vigil, he said they drained the pond twice and nothing. But not only did I see that, but when on day 3, I think it was Wednesday, when National Guard came through and they had their dogs, oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, they were all up and down through the neighborhood.
And this comes from the PI, SF Investigates, and he's released some footage from Kelling Lane, so it's the street that runs northwards. Sebastian's street runs kind of parallel to it. We know that dogs tracked in this very vicinity. We know that Max and Rex, the 2 German shepherds from Sumner County Sheriff's Office, they both tracked into the yard of this neighbour, someone called Bobby, who lives at the top of Kelling Lane. This is next door to Bobby's house, and they've got a surveillance camera. And you can see somebody, now, coming from the vicinity of Bobby's house, you've kind of got to think, well, it's Bobby's son, because Bobby has said that her son was out playing flashlight tag. You go out with a flashlight and you play a game with other people. And you can see in this footage, go back here, you can see somebody standing there scanning the environment with a flashlight. Bobby, she thinks she's some kind of big shot in that neighbourhood. She's the Geordie Sue Brown of this neighbourhood. She thinks she knows everything. She thinks she knows everyone. She won't speak to the PI. It's unknown what she's told law enforcement. But she's been doing her own little mini investigation and feeding YouTubers her quote-unquote evidence. You know, that Katie, Chris, and I think she said Seth originally, all involved in disappearing Sebastian. But Bobby, perhaps, maybe, should look closer to home, because her kid, who was, I don't know, maybe 18 at this time, was out there on that night. We don't know what time he went in. Now, SF Investigate says there's more additional suspicious activity that took place even later that night, so go ahead. Call us liars. We'll discuss the search that took place at the son's girlfriend's house, along with other interesting facts you've conveniently ignored. Well, I'd like to know all about that. I really would. But in the footage, 10:20, her son exits the house with a flashlight. He then turns it off, crouches down, and even moves deeper into the shadows to avoid being seen. Minutes later, he walks to the backyard, the same backyard where two canines independently tracked the following day. That's Max. Here's Max in the footage, the construction site. This is the same house on Kellen, but from the back, looks over to the construction site. Max is tracking all around there. Rex, a little bit later, tracks into that yard. This is Max, who we hear on the dispatch audio at 7:50, tracks through the construction site towards beach and then dives right into the retention pond. That pond was drained, it was walked, there's definitely no body in that retention pond. We also heard from the dispatch audio that Bobby's kid was out there helping law enforcement. I think it was one of the drone operators, says over dispatch that they see someone. A cop replies saying, "Oh, he's with us, he's helping us." So Bobby's son is out early in the morning, staying close to the investigation.
All this newly confirmed data is chilling, especially knowing that a year ago, Killer Looks had dropped a video highlighting the command map used by law enforcement during the initial search. Only one address had been marked on that map, a single house, flagged on a map used by officials.
These maps show aerial flight paths, ground searches, and more. One thing stood out to me. There's one address listed on the map. Canine Lane. For a mental reference, where the address is compared to the Proudfoots. It's the same area that the neighbor who did the JLR interview said she lived in. Up on the hill at the end of Canine Lane. In that interview, we hear the neighbor describe how her home's backyard overlooked the construction site, just like this address.
Now, where do you live relative to the Proudfoots?
I live at the very top of the hill on Kellen.
So the next street, the street that turns into Stafford.
The main street.
Main street.
My son was on our back deck. Now, our back deck faces the construction. The top, gotcha. The back of the construction. And so he was on the back deck talking to somebody, and he looks out and he says, "Well, that's really weird." And she said, "What?" And he said, "Look at the lights out there." And there was a flashlight. It was kind of a dim flashlight, but you could see it because it's pitch black dark. And he said, "Why is there a flashlight over there?" It was one single flashlight, and it was like walking in the back, kind of over in the back of the woods area, and it like walked around, stopped, walked around a little bit, stopped, and then just disappeared in the back of the woods. And so he called me, and he's like, "What do I do?" And I said, "You need to call law enforcement. Like, call the number." We had a flyer, one of those flyers, and I was like, "You need to call the TBI and tell them and figure out what to do with that." He did, and nothing. No phone call back, no nothing, just, "Okay, thanks for the letter." I'm like, "Okay."
Killer ain't saying that this her address. But more so what Killer pointing out is why was this the only address marked on the command center search map?
There, that house right there is the video. And the video is pointing this direction back to the Proudfoot home, and that car would be parked right here. And that's where that video is coming from, right there. Right there. Okay? And then that car would turn. That car was seen turning here. And this is Kellen. So as you go down Kellen, you look just real quick. There's the back of the Proudfoot home.
What is it about this one address that they had to mark it on the map? They even marked the home on the map. They even marked the home with the least surveillance footage on the map. So what's really going on with this address? So why that one address? Killer always cooking. You know, Killer love his good math work. Shows a whole different perspective that people ain't getting to see in this case. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Let's look at this data together. Clock in. Whoop, whoop.
Was Sebastian lured? Was he pranked? Was it jealousy, teenage cruelty, or something worse that spiraled in a moment that couldn't be undone? The flashlight tag, the laughter with the older girl, the teen boy's girlfriend, the hiding under cars. Were these innocent behaviours, or were they breadcrumbs leading us towards something darker? And could teenagers who can barely keep a secret about a party really conceal the disappearance of another boy? Or did they have help? Would a parent protect their child from the consequences of a tragic mistake? You have to ask yourself, why did the scent trail lead right to Bobby's playscape in the backyard, then to the construction site? Why was that home marked on the command map? Why did law enforcement need a sealed search warrant if the family had already turned everything in a year after Sebastian went missing? There are no final answers here. Not yet. But there is a sequence, a pattern, a theory, and in that equation, the truth hides not in shadows but in plain sight, just slightly askew. A flashlight beam flickering across damp ground, a nervous laugh in a school hallway, a sealed warrant, a playscape, a game, a creek, and a boy who just wanted to make friends.
Did he have any friends that could have possibly contacted him in some way on his phone?
All his friends at school have been questioned to my knowledge, and none of them knew anything.
So this big question mark, he's vanished.
Yes, ma'am.
And no one can figure out where or why.
That boy's gonna have more friends than he knows what to do with when he comes home.
He loves playgrounds.
Yeah, he loves playgrounds. I mean, he loves to play. I'll give him that. Friends-wise,
He wants friends.
Sebastian, his idea of his friend is right now is what he has 2 kids that he talks to at school, but he is extremely socially awkward, and so it's very difficult for him to make friends, which has been this boy's only lifelong dream. He Christmas, what do you want for Christmas? I want friends. Birthday, I want friends. Anything that he could do to get a friend, he would love to do it, which is potentially dangerous because that could open up doors for somebody to say, hey, I'll be your friend, and potentially cause harm.
Weird because people are saying this correctly. I was told that Sebastian just couldn't make friends, but then I'm also told by Chris that he was playing flashlight tag with the neighbors. I don't know if, for a kid or a teenager, if playing with other teenagers makes them or classifies them as a friend. But again, I'm just relaying the information that was given. And the fact that the dogs then went to that playscape, if they were playing flashlight tag, and then the dogs go over there, that's interesting, right? And what's also interesting is that I guess a couple times Katie or Chris found Sebastian hiding under the neighbor's vehicle. So in that driveway, I guess he wasn't supposed to do that, but it was noted that he hid under that car. So the two, my thought, again, this is pure speculation. Sometimes teenagers can be brutal. I immediately thought was one of these teenagers jealous of Sebastian? Was he, perhaps talking to this girl, this older girl that was guiding him down the hall when she wasn't supposed to? And in between the 2nd and 25th, more stuff happened while Chris was gone. I don't know, but putting the information out there, I feel, is important. So
my twins were born in that house, and when they were little, you know, I didn't let them go out by themselves, but I would feel comfortable with them going outside in the yard, you know, as long as it was like, just don't get in the street, because we live on the main road, and you'd have the big trucks and you have the school bus and that kind of thing coming through, and I'll just say, stay in the yard. But I didn't have to worry about somebody coming up and grabbing them. I just never felt that. I never feared that. I mean, I knew my neighbors, my family all lived in the neighborhood with me. I mean, my parents lived there, my brother and sister used to live there. We all lived there together, and my kids would walk in between the yards to her house, and her kids would walk in between the yard to my house.
Swing low like a gold-plated crucifix. Holy heart, hang Christ on a Cuban link. Do it my way, do it my way. Blood in my veins, the Messiah is alive. You can hear her in my swing low like a gold-plated crucifix. Holy heart, hang Christ on a Cuban link. Do it my way, do it my way. Blood in my veins, the Messiah is alive. You can hear her in my. I've been carving with this marble stone, like Michelangelo, since I was like 10 years old. And I was almost at the end of my wits when I saw my truth unfold. I was 25 years old, had that quarter-century glow. Safe and sound, box in the home. What you gonna say to me now? Ace with the crown, I straight to the ground, cause I miss my life aiming straight for the crown. The higher the climb is the greater the fall. Stiff at the drink is the deeper you sleep, and the more you put in is the more you withdraw, and the more things blur is the clearer I dream. Eye on me like the words of a saint, and nothing kill quicker than the burden of hate. The circle of time is the curve of your faith. It's pretty abstract, but I fuck with the shape. Loch Ness monster, horns in the cave, flames of fury in the devil's face. And once you've conquered all that credulous race, the world ends cause you were 4 minutes late. Safe and sound, fox in the hell. What you gonna say to me now?